we have with us now Syracuse graduate, national champion from Syracuse, Columbia High School product, Craig Forth. He is sitting down with us now live at Wolf's 111. And great beer specials, great food. Guys, are you excited? Before we get Craig a question, how excited are you to be talking to a member of the national championship Cuse team?
It's exciting. A local guy here teaching around. I remember his time with Syracuse, 2003 national championship, setting some picks for Jerry McNamara, getting him open, getting some big dunks for the Orange, and getting the job done, and leading them all the way, Carmelo and company, and he's joining us right now.
All right, so Craig, thanks for being with us, man. How you doing?
Guys, thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to this. So
absolutely. Craig is your vice principal?
Yes, assistant principal at Mechanical at this point, yes.
Does anyone ever give you problems? I mean, you're 7 feet tall. I feel like that's a perfect job where you're laying down the authority there at the school.
Well, I think you'd be surprised. There's kids that don't care how tall I am or, whether I was 5'2" or 7'2". So at this point, it's all about making a relationship with the kids and having a good time with them. So, once you just develop a level of respect, and wherever you are, they fall right in line. So we're having a lot of fun out there. We've worked with some great people.
We've got the Syracuse game tonight against Gonzaga. Do you watch every Cuse game? Do you still follow the team religiously, or was it, hey, once I'm done playing, I'm on to the next phase of my life?
I would say that I have changed over the last couple of years.
Okay.
There was a moment in my life, probably 5 or 6 years worth, where I was not watching much at all. Over the last 2-3 years, I've grown back in love with it, and I've been watching religiously. And I've been watching this year quite a bit, getting to know the guys and kind of seeing where they are. And I'm pretty proud of what we've done so far.
Your recruiting process coming out of high school, why did you eventually decide to sign with Syracuse?
Eventually, I would say it was all related to my education. I was looking at Boston College that had a 5-year degree program to give me exactly what I wanted, and I came to Syracuse, and they were able to give it to me in 4. So I ended up going down that road. It was really, basketball was secondary to me at the point. Obviously, I was recruited by somewhere around 310 schools, and
wow.
People were, sending me letters and making phone calls and recruiting visits and all this. It was a big deal at the time. My biggest focus was on getting into the educational world, and here I am today.
Now, you played at Columbia High School. Did the recruiting process, did it get tiresome? Were you just like, I just want this to be over? Or was it exciting? Because it's nice to be wanted.
I would say it was awesome to be able to walk down the hallway of the school and have a stack of letters about a foot wide. And, some were from Tennessee. I think sent me 50 letters a week. Northwestern sent me 50 letters a week. The funniest ones were Mike Hopkins would send things. He's the assistant coach over at Syracuse now. He'd send me things where he'd have Arnold Schwarzenegger's body with his head superimposed on top of it, with his signature. He says, "I will bring you this, and you will be this big when you get to Syracuse." So everybody had a little flavor for a little bit of creative, and it was a lot of fun. It did get tiresome after a while, which is why I made my decision early in my senior year. I didn't wait around. I think I remember the press conference was sometime in September, and made the decision, and then I was able to play my senior year without any pressure.
What was it like playing for Coach Boeheim? Because Gaz comes here, he's got all the stories, and he worships Jim Boeheim and everything Syracuse related.
I'm a big fan, born and raised in Central New York, man. That's the straw that stirs the talk there in Central New York for sure.
I want to ask the man who played for him, what's it like playing for Jim Boeheim?
It depends on how well you do on the court.
Generally is the case.
Well spoken, that's right.
I think when you're scoring 18 against a Missouri, there's nothing but high praise. When you're barely scoring any, it's a whole lot of you better do better. And I think that's fair from any coach when you're looking at the way that teams are playing and players are playing. So he had high expectations for every single one of his players, and he's obviously legendary at this point. He's been doing it for somewhere around 40 years and Hall of Famer, and he's got a lot of respect out in the Syracuse area.
We'll touch on the matchup with Gonzaga in a little bit, and also your guys' run of the 2003 title game. But first, the guy who helped you along the way. You're a sophomore. This guy's a freshman, Carmelo Anthony. What do you remember about Carmelo as a teammate?
You're going to have to refresh my memory. Who?
He had a cornrows, about 6'8", wore a headband.
I remember. 15, I think?
Yep,
yes, number 15.
Number 15.
Pretty good, if I remember.
He might have been okay. Where's he doing now?
He's New York Knicks.
He's doing a lot of losing with the Knicks.
That guy. No. Carmelo was definitely, he was a clown at the time. He was very much a young kid. A lot of people know this, but we actually went overseas together before our time at Syracuse. We played on the under-18 national team, went over to France and played, and actually won that tournament. So I knew Carmelo for more than just the year that he was hanging out there. In my time with him, I would say he was like I said, a clown, but a great guy. He had his core group of guys. He was, the leader in the locker room in terms of, getting people to snap towels and joke around with each other, jumping on each other's backs and having a good old time. But worked hard in practice. He was that guy that threw the ball up off the backboard, went and got the rebound, and put it right back in, and then yelled at the team to get going. But again, I think his leadership grew throughout the year, as did his maturity level on the court. So I'm very proud to see what he's doing now. Even if, what is he, 13-time All-Star and doing great things in the NBA and making us proud over at Syracuse.
It's 104.5 The Team, 104.5theteam.com. Brady and Gaza in for Levac today. We're live at Wolves 111, and sitting down with us is Columbia High School graduate, now working in the Mechanical School District, and a national champion at Syracuse. It is Craig Forth. He is with us here live at Wolves 111. Carmelo Anthony, he gets this bad rap, and I'm always the guy who defends him, always. Everyone else wants to rip him. He doesn't pass enough. He's too selfish. He's me. And I don't really see it that way. What's the real Carmelo Anthony like?
I think people get lost in what the business is in the NBA. I think if you look at the way the contracts are created, you get certain amounts of money for making certain amount of point totals. You get, whatever your stipulations of your contract are. And then really what it turns into is, who's coming on and into which team and what are your motivations? You see your best NBA teams, which are, we're going to, win an NBA Finals, and that's our goal, that's our mission. But when you're just building a program, it's hard to go through. Look at the New York Knicks; they've been struggling for a few years now. I think he gets the brunt of it because he's probably the highest paid at this point. He's definitely the franchise guy, and I guess rightfully so that he gets the brunt of it. But it takes more than one guy to make a team really be successful.
It's interesting how the NBA and college basketball has evolved in almost 13 years since you played. 10 years you left in 2005, but you guys had a young team. You were a sophomore. Hakeem Work's a sophomore. McNamara's a freshman. Evelyn, Carmelo were all freshmen. But now we see college teams talking about the NBA when you get the almost day one you step on campus. How quick can I leave? Do you think that's what helped you guys have some success in 03, that talk wasn't there? It was just about winning because you guys were so young?
Well, like you said, it's evolved big time over the past few years. You look at your Kentucky teams from, last year where you had, 9 guys go to the NBA?
Yeah.
Well, 9, but you know what I mean. You're looking at, there's a lot less pressure to stay on and stay there for the entire time. Your best teams, I think this year's a pretty senior-laden group of kids that are walking through, and, they're the quote-unquote rare breed. From a 2003 perspective for us, we had absolutely no pressure on our shoulders. It was, before the championship game, we're playing against Kansas, who has Collison and Heinrich and all these top-notch guys that are moving on to the NBA. We're sitting there like, okay, we got nothing to lose. Let's just walk in, play our game, and have a good old time. And we were looser than Kansas was in the first half, which is why we took the 18-point lead. And, going into halftime, and we're riding on high, and we fell apart a little bit in the second half, only won by 3, but again, being loose, being free, and we just did what we had to do.
And Jerry McNamara hitting 6 threes in the first half doesn't hurt either.
No, that doesn't hurt at all. It doesn't hurt. 6 screens by Craig Forth.
That's right. Yes.
That's unheard of. What you're saying? Not many people said 6 screens in a game. No, Jerry's a fantastic guy. Shoots the ball like crazy, and he was on a roll that game.
Hakeem Warwick's block in the corner that cements that win. It's one of the more iconic images in NCAA tournament history, isn't it?
Certainly. No, it's amazing when you can jump 40 inches in the air and you're 6'7" and with a 7'2" wingspan. It's amazing what you can do with your body. But nothing that I was ever able to do. But him being there and not allowing that shot to go down and forcing an overtime or anything like that was definitely a moment that I relive in my head all the time. But I relive the fact that I was sitting on the bench at the point because I had fouled out. Funny story there. Boeheim looks at me with about 3.5 minutes left and says, Craig, you can foul out. We got other guys. I'm like, okay. So that gave me carte blanche to go out and, basically knock heads with Graves in the middle. So that was my game. That's what I did, and I was just following directions. So it was a great game for everybody. I relive the memories all the time, and, great moment for Syracuse history.
Craig Forth with us on 104.5 The Team, 104.5theteam.com. Brady and Gaz in for Levac today. Craig, you're 7'2". I'm 6'5", and I always get every time I meet someone new. Oh my God, you're tall. Like, can you put in perspective just how annoying it is? Because it's annoying for me, and you got me by 8 inches.
I can't say it's annoying because I'm literally, first I'm 7 foot.
7 foot.
They listed me at 7 foot too, so
Okay.
they would, it would be more intimidating to the opponent.
7 foot wasn't good enough.
Wasn't good enough.
not,
No. Let's put 7'2". Let's see. And they put me at 350, and I was only 295. No, I think for me, it's a shell shock for people. One of the funniest things for me is when people come up to me and say, Craig, oh wow, you look like you've grown. I'm like, you just haven't seen me in a while.
Yeah.
All right, you're not used to seeing 7'2" walking through. I don't get very many creative things coming up to me about how tall I am or where I am, but a couple people will walk up to me and say, hey, so you're a mini golf champion, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, mini golf. Or I'll they'll be like, oh, how's the weather up there? I'm like, it's raining, and I'll pretend to spit on them. I would never do that.
That's the new one. That's the new one I need to go to.
That's good.
Yeah, no, but it's a marvel. It's obviously a 7 foot guy walking around the area. It doesn't matter whether I go to Subway, whether I go to Wolf's 111. I'm sure I walk around here. Oh my God, you're tall.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know. Thank you.
I've been hearing it for 26 years. You've been hearing it for 33 at this point.
Exactly.
So
I just want to look at them and say, yes, I own a mirror. Thank you.
1045 the team. 1045 the team. 1045theteam.com. Brady and Gaz in for Levac today. Craig Forrest sitting with us here at Wolf's 111. He's going to sit with us after this break as well. And Gaz, you can go a little more fanboy after the break.
Well, there's a story about Jim Boeheim. I don't know if it's true. He said it recently to Craig at a dinner, and I'm going to find out if it's really true what Coach Boeheim said about how well you performed in the classroom.
That's next.